Today. We're talking about chemicals. We're talking about sea trails. We're also talking in code. Major code today. Big topic today. We're also in day 4. We day in 4? Day 4? Day 5? Which day is it? 6? Day 3? We got 20 days ahead of us. We're day 4 of the Medical Medium Brain Shot Therapy Cleanse Challenge. I got Brain Saver here. We're going to be talking about some sea trails and some chemical stuff. It's going to be a really interesting talk. I hope you guys hang out for it. You see a bunch of ingredients here because we're going to be making the sea trails exposure shot. But you might be thinking, I'm not exposed to sea trails. Oh, so you think. But everybody is. Everybody is on this planet is exposed to the sea trails. I can promise you that. Mark my words. Everybody's exposed to the sea trails. But we're talking, and remember, we're talking some kind of code, but we're going to be reading about sea trails in this Brain Saver book. So we got to be, cool about that. What you see right here is some lemons. You see some kale. Really actually nice kale too. Like, whoa. That's really nice kale. And then we got some asparagus right there. We got some Brussels sprouts. The Brussels sprouts don't look that good because I had to peel them back and peel them back. They were like in some bad shape. I got some chives and a little bit of green onion scallions, which we'll use. I got some cilantro. And I got some celery right here. So those are my ingredients. I got my shot glasses right here. This is day 4 of the Medical Medium Brain Shot Therapy Cleanse Challenge. That's a mouthful. Say that 3 times in a row really fast. Anyway, you guys coming on? Because we're going to be talking about some serious chemical crap. And it's going to be really fun. So I want everybody to come on, or whoever's coming on, because we're going to talk about this chemical stuff. Because I want to drop a few bombs. C-H-E-M. I'm going to do some cheerleading stuff, right? Give me a C. Give me an H. Give me an E. Give me an M. Give me a T. Give me an R. Give me an A-I-L-S. What does it spell? Does AI know? What does it spell? All right. Stop messing around. We got some work to do, okay? All right. We're here. We're talking about chemicals on the brain, man. Chemicals. We're talking about some serious crap, and I'm not kidding about this. All right, let me just start reading. Forget this. Start reading. I'll read anything out of Brain Saver. I'm going to just start on page 220. Let's go in there for a little bit. When we speak of chemicals, we are speaking of any kind of chemical created by the chemical industry, whether we know that chemical exists inside a product or not. Chemical companies are exempted for the most part from full disclosure in labeling. They have free reign in the creation and use of their chemicals because they produce so many different chemicals for so many different industries. They got free reign. This is just interesting in general. But wait till you guys hear about sea trails. Wait till you hear about that. This is a fun day. There's no proper regulatory system designed to monitor, safeguard, calculate, and keep track chemicals. It would take rebuilding the entire chemical industry and beyond. So what did that just say? That just said that chemical industry worldwide has full reign to create whatever they want without it really being cataloged properly or monitored or understood. Check this out. This is really cool. Thousands of chemicals are churned out daily. Thousands of new chemicals are churned out daily, by the way. So they get thrown into extremely large categories instead of individually tested for safety. So many chemicals are churned out at once that instead of each chemical being tested for safety, they just throw them in batches. You can have 10,000 chemicals in one category and have that category deemed safe by an authority. Think about that right there. We got to be in code today, man. Because nobody talks about this stuff. But I can't help it. You can have 10,000 chemicals in one category and have that category deemed safe by an authority. Think about this. But ready? 10,000 individual chemicals that were never tested. The effects on human nature and nature. Wildlife. More than 5,000 of them are life-threatening in large dosages, while the other 4,000 plus chemicals may not cause immediate obvious health effects within the first decade of use. Yet with continual exposure will contribute to diseases, symptoms, and conditions as the years tick by. There's such a vast array of chemicals in production for these domestic invader products. Thousands upon thousands of chemicals. Once these chemicals enter our body through our nose, through our mouth, through our lungs, right? Or skin, they can saturate any aspect of the brain, whether deep in the inner core of the brain stem or just in any lobe inside the hemispheres or the cerebral cortex. Some domestic invaders are petrochemical derived. When they settle into the brain, domestic invader products often end up deeper in the brain's grooves than other petrochemicals. Domestic invader chemicals are created to have radical absorption abilities, and the brain is vulnerable and easy to invade. So I'm just talking about how our brain can get saturated by a tremendous amount of chemicals. So the chemical industry creates thousands upon thousands upon thousands of chemicals constantly. But each chemical itself is never tested as far as any kind of damages on wildlife or human nature. But what they do is they batch the chemicals. So the chemical industry batches the chemicals purposely, so they don't have to go through any kind of regulatory system, right? So batch them. I mean, that's crazy. Different chemicals do different things. There's no wall up that stops certain chemicals from entering any part of the brain. They go past the blood-brain barrier. Oh, no, medical medium. You don't know anything about the brain. The blood-brain barrier stops everything from going in it. It's a barrier, medical medium. I can't tell you how many times I heard that. The blood-brain barrier, it stops everything bad from getting into your brain. So you don't know anything, medical medium. This raises one of the foundational problems. These chemicals aren't brain tested. So none of these chemicals are brain tested. They're not. They don't take a human being. They used to, by the way. They used to do this, but they didn't really look at the brain. Back in the 1920s, they used to, experiment on humans, and they would just have a ton of deadly chemicals dropped on their head and inhaled and on their skin and see what happens to them. Sophie Nordstrom says, yet each individual chemical is constantly tested on animals in every country. I know that chemicals are tested on animals, but not each individual chemical. It's impossible. So that's something to know. We're talking about millions of chemicals, millions created each year by chemical companies, chemical industries, right, around the world. And no, a fraction of those, very small amount, are tested on animals, and they do test on animals out there in the world. But a fraction the chemical companies, chemical industries aren't really the ones that are testing chemicals on animals. It's product companies that did a lot of the testing on animals. And so they don't even know from their tests what's really happening in the long term anyway when they do test on animals. But yes, there's been a lot of tests on animals and still is in the industries. And many of the industries that aren't even chemical based in their testing on animals. We know that, right? It's horrific and horrifying, all of it. This raises one of the foundational problems. These chemicals aren't brain tested. It's not like the chemical industry knows what these chemicals can do inside the human brain or how they can penetrate the human brain. So nobody knows how these chemicals actually penetrate the human brain. There's no authority overlooking this either, by the way. I mean, that's insane. If the chemical doesn't burn the hair off your arm, then it goes to the next stage of testing for use. No one's monitoring any of these chemicals entering the brain. With current medical tools, it's not even possible to monitor the full scope of these chemicals' effects on the brain. We can't just cut open someone's brain, remove a portion, and look for these chemicals. So the industry's ultimate protection is that they're creating chemicals which affects the brain and can't be measured or monitored. So keep this in mind. And I'm on page 221. We're just reading a little bit about chemicals before we move on with this topic. But keep in mind, they can't even test on human brains. You can't even test on a human brain because you have to cut the person's brain open to look inside. And even if you cut the person's brain open to look inside, you're still not going to see the chemicals. So this is completely experimental on the planet, what the chemical industry does. Meanwhile, chemical industry domestic invaders can create immune system weaknesses that allow brain diseases to take root, feed viruses, and fuel the creation of tumors. These domestic invaders also contain traces of toxic heavy metals, and you know by now what those can do to your brain if you're reading Brain Saver and Brain Saver protocols. An experiment on humankind. If you guys just got on here, we're talking about sea trails. Sea trails. And we're making the sea trail exposure shot, and we're day 4 of the medical mean brain shot therapy cleanse challenge. It's no secret that we encounter and use these products all the time. There's a lot of products out there that are saturated in dangerous chemicals people don't even realize. Danielle says, thank you for doing these challenges and lives for free. For free, I am at your service. Happy to be here. Brain Shot Therapy Challenge is free, yes. And sign up at medicalmedium.com and get your free shopping list. Where is it? It's under this brain right here. Sign up for your free shopping list right here. Go to medicalmedium.com so you can get the emails and everything else about the challenge and all kinds of other details. Plus, you find your grocery list and then you see what shots we're going to do. And you can choose your own shots. You don't have to do the shots that I have chosen here. It's no secret that we encounter and use these products all the time. What's hidden is what their ingredients do to us. Humankind is one big chemical industry experiment right now. How many dangerous chemicals can a person sop up in their lifetime before it becomes apparent that it's hindering their health and well-being and even injuring them? It's almost like a joke or a prank. How far can the chemical industry push the envelope before it's blatantly obvious? The key to chemical industry domestic warfare is to slip everyday items through the door and never have the finger pointed at whatever evil is slipping through that door. It's the ultimate con on humankind. That's incredible. It's unbelievable, really. Right? Danielle says, you're the best. Changed my life and my kids. Incredible. I'm so glad you're here. Lorraine L. tried the pathogen exposure shot today. Really liked it. Garlic also added. Wow. All right, you guys, we're going to move on. We're going to read a little bit more. I want to go to the next part. Okay, so right now, and I am looking for the next part. I think, Look for page 2. Come on, let's get through this. Yes. Oh, there we go. All right, so let's read a little bit here on this next part. You guys, if you want to know where I am, because I don't know where I am right now, where am I? I am in the Brain Saver book. Okay, we're going to be making the Sea Trails exposure shot, but I'm talking about Sea Trails a little bit. There are hundreds of thousands of chemicals used in our industries every day. They're put in our food. They're put in our cleaning supplies. They're used in everything that's manufactured. Many of these chemicals are so toxic that if the human body were dipped into a vat of these chemicals, it would be a very quick death. Under storage containers, these chemicals carry the death warning. The death warning on these storage containers of these chemicals. A skull and crossbones. And every single chemical that's manufactured for industrial use equals thousands upon thousands of gallons of waste. Check that out. Every single chemical, and there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them. Every single chemical used for industrial use leaves byproduct that people have no idea to the level. What page, Melvin Knight asks on YouTube? Page 234. Page 234, the paragraph starts at there are hundreds of thousands of chemicals used in our industries. So check this out. Every single chemical that's manufactured for industrial use equals, this is insane, thousands upon thousands of gallons of waste. From the chemical's inception to the chemical's release in the marketplace, thousands upon thousands of byproduct gallons. The amount of byproduct that results from perfecting that one chemical far surpasses anyone's imagination. Millions of gallons can be produced of byproduct waste as they're perfecting one single chemical for industrial use. But you guys know where I'm going, right? Do you guys know where I'm heading? Do you guys know the inside info right here of like to where I'm heading? For real? Like the inside. Right? Info. You guys get it, right? In the old days, industries just dumped chemical waste right into rivers. In the old days, it was dumped into rivers, right? You know that. The chemical industry just dumped it into rivers in the old days. You hear what I'm going now? In the old days. MM6123 on IG, they say sea trails cause Morgellons. You're actually repeating medical medium information that was put out there years ago. And you're repeating it back to medical medium, which is always like a trip for me. It's always, I plant seeds over the decades, and when the seeds come back, it's always like a trip. That is SOC's information. All right, so ready? In the old days, industries just dumped chemical waste right into rivers. We know that, right into oceans. We know that, right? Chemicals were just dumped into oceans. The old days. You guys hear what I'm saying, though? The old days? Not today. The old days? And chemicals were dumped in and on the land, right? In the old days, in and on the land. The chemical industry cannot dump into our lakes and waterways and oceans to the same degree anymore. By the way, I put out a Sea Trails podcast a few years ago. Get ready for this point right here. Seriously. This is unfreaking believable. In the old days, all the chemicals were dumped in the rivers, the ocean, the land, right? And lakes. But the chemical industry is producing more chemicals now than they ever did before. The chemical industry is producing more than ever before in our history. There's billions of more people on the planet now. There's that much more industry now. There's that much byproduct produced by all the chemical industries. But yet, it's not in the lakes. It's not being dumped in the ocean anymore. It's not being dumped. There wouldn't be an ocean left because there's that much chemical created. You guys see where I'm heading? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? It can't be dumped in a river anymore. It would end the river's life if it was dumped in a river. It would destroy an entire river now. There's that much chemical being produced, the industry is producing. But in the old days, there was not a lot of chemical being produced in the old days. And it was just dumped straight into rivers until finally they knew they had to stop. The chemical industry cannot leach into our land to the same degree anymore. With more chemicals being produced than ever before, where does all the chemical waste go? Can you answer that question for me? Can you guys answer the question for me? That should be the number one question on the planet Earth right now. Everybody says, oh, environment, 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 climate, climate, environment, environment. Everybody's like, gotta save the oceans. Everybody's like, gotta save the oceans, gotta save the fish. That's what everybody's saying. Gotta save the bees. The bees, they're gonna die. The bees, environment. The number one question that should be asked, where does all the chemical waste go? If it's not being dumped inside or on the land, and it's not being dumped in the rivers anymore, and it's not being dumped in the ocean anymore, and it's not being dumped in the lakes anymore, but yet there's more chemical waste created now than ever before in history, with the most chemicals made and byproduct made ever before in history, then where does the chemical go? Is there a genius out there that knows that? And by the way, people didn't know it was the chemical industries having anything to do with sea trails until a couple of years ago when I released the original piece of information nobody knew in the chemtrail world. Try to say as fast as possible in hopes that it blips by. By the way, happy birthday, Michelle L. Michelle L., happy birthday, because I know it's your birthday today. It's a blessing to have you on this planet. It's a blessing to have you in the medical meme community. Truly. With more chemicals being produced than ever before in history, where does all the chemical waste go? There's too much chemical byproduct and no place to store it and release it. You can't store the chemical byproduct. The industry is producing billions of gallons across the world, the planet, but there's no place to store it. They can't dump it into the river, so where does it go? It can't be recycled. It's not like a plastic bottle you threw in the recycle bin. And so, this is the chemical industry. Since the chemical industry cannot dispose of their waste in the ways they once did, which was the rivers, the lakes, and the land, and the ocean, now chemicals are being, I don't know, they're just out there. You guys do you guys play with paper planes at all? You guys ever make paper planes? Anyway. Anyway, sea trails are composed of every toxin possible that the chemical industry creates. This includes toxic heavy metals such as mercury and copper. It also includes old, outdated, antiquated chemical storage bins that have been backlogged in storage for decades. Chemical waste that has sat in tanks for 60, 70, and 50 years. I don't know why I went that. Oh, 80 or even 100 years. It's a combination of chemicals, both old and new, being placed in and dumped. It's just a theory. Doesn't mean any of it's true. I'm just having fun. You know, it's crazy right now because everybody's worried about this planet. They're worried about the earth. They're worried about the environment. They're worried about whatever climate. They're worried about all this stuff. And literally, one of the most diabolical situations that can ever exist in any history, anywhere on this planet, in any time frame, is happening now. And it's like the craziest thing when you think about it, right? So everybody is just exposed. So what Spirit of Compassion did was, because we can't avoid this exposure, it's not avoidable, the exposure, right? Because we can't avoid it, we have to protect ourselves. So empowerment occurs, right? It's important to empower ourselves and our families and our children and everything else. So, and you got all the different concerns about the environment, but this brain shot therapy is here to help. That's the whole point, because we can't avoid exposure. It's not possible unless you don't want to go outside. You don't want to go outside. But that's the thing. Inside, too, we're exposed because the air outside is the air we breathe inside inevitably, or you would just lose oxygen inside your home, wherever you live. So everything that we breathe in inside our home is air that's coming inevitably from outside. So we do get exposed. So we're all exposed. The entire planet is exposed, right? Everybody on the planet. So it's not about being afraid. And just so you know, to make things clear, because there's a billion questions. If you have questions, you can see in detail about what I'm talking about in Brain Saver. If you don't have the Brain Saver book, you won't have those details because I can't drop all the details over here. It's not the passenger commercial flights, you know, that a bunch of people are flying on. That's not what it is. But the details are in here, which are really interesting. Really interesting to know. But the point is we don't have control over like this exposure. Nobody does. But you have control to be aware and then do something about it if there's something available. And the whole point of what Spirit of Compassion did was Spirit of Compassion wanted to have something available. There was a synergistic combination that works just right for overall that type of aerosol, right? So what Spirit of Compassion said, it takes a little bit of celery, a little bit of cilantro, a little bit of chives, a little bit of Brussels, a little bit of asparagus, a little bit of kale, and a little bit of lemon. It's that exact chemical combination, meaning food chemical, meaning phytochemical compounds in food. That exact combination that has an ability to help us purge a well-rounded amount of aerosol. You see the difference right there? Because it's released in an aerosol fashion. So it takes a certain combination to help with this, to actually help the body purge chemical warfare that's in an aerosol form. So Spirit of Compassion wanted to offer something because there's nothing we can do about the exposure. There's nothing anybody's going to do about the exposure. It's just the way it works. But we can do something to empower ourselves and protect ourselves. Very interesting. We live in a world where we're being taught to fear the future of our climate. At the same time, there's a terrifying reality that's being ignored, which is the unprecedented high level of dangerous chemical contamination and saturation being released within our sight onto our children. I can't keep on reading too much of this, though. There's too many hot spots in it. Let's just figure this out. We'll do some other stuff. We'll actually do the shot and everything else. I'm excited. Let me see if there's something else I can try to... I'm trying to pick and choose what I can read out of here. Oh, here's a part. That's really cool. On IG, clean up your diet. That's your handle. That's cool. I've heard people saying it would cost a fortune to fly planes just to dump that. How should I respond to that? You gotta definitely read this because I talk about how that happens and why and all that. And just so you know, it's easy and can be done. Did you ever hear about thousands of birds falling out of the sky? Did you guys ever hear that? Where thousands of birds are falling out of the sky? Like thousands, like 10,000s, an entire migration down on the ground, right? That's from a migration of birds. I know it's not like, you know, it would be a migration of sparrows or a migration, right? Robins, a migration of like... So that's from a migration of birds running into a very thick patch. So that's from a migration of birds running from a very thick patch, right? Blah. Blah. Being poisoned in the sky and falling to their death. It happens all over the planet in places you can't see. We only recognize it when it happens, you guys. We only recognize it when it happens in it where it's in a visible place, like in a city, a village, a town, on the streets, in the town center. You don't see it when the patch the birds hit happens in the woods somewhere, in the mountains. Just so much wastage. Spirit of Compassion told me that there isn't going to be birds someday, and this is the reason. Check this out, right? Algae blooms and chemical clusters in oceans and lakes are from that as well, causing schools of choked out fish and other sea life to wash up on the shore. And people don't realize it. It's from that. I don't know. I just thought it was a fun topic. That's all to talk about. And I thought I would put the sea trail exposure shot into the mix of the 20-day brain shot therapy cleanse challenge because we're so exposed. So I just thought it would be a great idea. But they'll just tell you it's all your genes and your body attacking itself is what they'll tell you out there. Like, it's all your genes. And maybe it's all the birds' genes, too. Millions and millions of birds falling to their death. It's all the birds' genes now, right? So, all right, let's get into it. It's not the pathogens and toxins. It's not the pathogens going around and the toxins that we're up against. No, it's not that. It's our genes. But the part I think that bugs me the most, I think one of the parts that like really gets on my nerves like the most when I really think about it is the fact that we know it's happening and everybody who has power in the world knows it's happening. but it just keeps on happening. But yet we're supposed to worry about other things, right? Sarah says, doesn't the Bible talk about the ocean turning red? Yes, it does indeed. Yeah, and the red tide. All right, come on, let's lighten it up. Let's move on. Let's make the shot. Lighten things up a little bit. So what we're doing is we're protecting our brain from these chemicals. Now, you don't have to do this shot every single day, but it's a great shot to do periodically. Like, I'll do it for a couple of days, then I'll wait after a while, I'll do it for another couple of days. It's just an incredible option. Listen, I don't want anybody to be like worried or upset, right? Because we have the tools and we have the power in our own lives. We can take care of ourselves, right? We can do things. We can get metals out. We can do heavy metal detox protocols, right? We can do incredible tools. We can do celery juice. We have so many options to take care of ourselves and clean it up in our own bodies and own minds. And that's the incredible part about it all. And I didn't even talk about the scary stuff about it. So I hope people aren't upset. If you want the scary stuff, read the Brain Saver book. Or go to Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcast and listen to the episode. The episode was a couple of years ago. Okay, so I really like this shot. I'm not a big fan of the taste of the shot. The taste of the shot's not so bad. Some of these shots, they're hard to get down because they're not designed for flavors. They're not designed for your flavor palette. They're not designed for that. That's not what it's about, right? Honestly, I wouldn't even, you know what? If you have air fresheners pumping in your house, that can be worse because it's directly in your face every second. So what I recommend, if you want to be empowered on any of the chemical warfare, you take out your air fresheners and you throw them out. You pull them out of the walls and get them from under the sinks and you throw them out. First things first is the air fresheners. That is one of the domestic chemical warfares of our time, right? The other thing is, right, you gotta be careful about cleaning products. Another thing too is detergents, right? With all those scented stuff, all the fragrances, all the scents. I've been talking about this for years. I remember 3.5 years ago, I think almost 4 years ago now, I was talking about how bad perfume colognes, air fresheners, and scented candles were, and then literally a bunch of people tried to cancel me because they thought it was the stupidest thing to be talking about when there was something else going on in the world. And they were like, why is this guy talking about air fresheners and scented candles? And they were trying to like rip me down over that. And I'm still going to talk about it. And now you hear people talking about it now. You'll see an influencer out there. Yeah, don't do the fragrances. Oh, where did you get that info? When you stop using a lot of the super toxic chemical products, right? And you stop buying those chemicals with all those fragrances that they're selling out there, they produce less of them. So yes, the power is in our hands to stop the industry from possibly creating more chemicals. The big industry giants in the world on the planet. So it's true. You know, that's one way that could really hurt the chemical industry if people stop buying everything that's scented like that. Air fresheners, fragrances, chemicals, perfumes, colognes, all that stuff has stuff in it, bad chemicals, right? And because of that, they'll produce less. But the air fresheners and the fragrances and the bad chemical stuff has gotten so much more toxic than it ever was before 10 years ago and ever was before 20 years ago. So we're up against chemicals now that are so toxic in all the fragrances. It's like nothing anybody's ever seen. So the chemical industry is creating fragrances that are so horrific at this point. And yeah, people stop using them and stop purchasing them. You better believe they don't produce them anymore. They're creating chemical scents and fragrances that actually stick around forever. 1,000 years could go by in a home that's been doused by a tremendous amount of fragrance. If it preserved 1,000 years later and they opened up that home, 1,000 years later, you would smell that chemical. They're creating chemicals that won't go away. But what you can do is you can stop taking in the new stuff. Like you can pull it out of your walls, throw out the candles that are scented, get it out so you're not constantly bringing more and more in. Meanwhile, they'll scream about climate change. Meanwhile, no one's talking about fragrances, chemical industries producing trillions of gallons of wasted chemicals that are just waste. They're not talking about dryer sheets. They're not talking about any of that. They're not talking about sea trails. They're not talking about nothing. All right, let's make the shot. Muhammad said, guys, listen to me. I have followed the medical medium diet and I am healing from vitiligo. It works. It really does. What I really love about the medical medium information for vitiligo is it's the only information that's helped vitiligo in anyone for years and years and years now. But don't worry, the media won't cover that. The media won't talk about reversing a vitiligo with medical medium information, which is like a miracle. They won't cover that, but instead they'll just do hit pieces after hit pieces, whatever. Or some other smack will be talked about me. But yet, vitiligo can't be healed. It can't be healed out there. But yet it can. Like, Info is reversing it in so many people. Like, I see it out there. It's really special. God bless you, by the way. All right. I'm going to put some kale in here. 1/4 cup of tightly packed kale. But I just want to talk about it. It starts with frozen wild blueberries. I don't have frozen wild blueberries today. So I have wild blueberry juice today is what I have. So I'm going to use that. So you have the option of using different wild blueberry, sources. So I'm just saying. But wild blueberry is the key for this one. A regular blueberry won't do it. So a regular cultivated blueberry does not have enough anthocyanin or phytochemical compounds to mix in with all these others to make something happen. Nanochemicals are really, really tiny. These are nanochemicals. We're talking about septochemicals, yactochemicals. They're so tiny, it's insane. That's what kind of chemicals we're even talking about. So yeah, so wild blueberry is the one of choice, not the cultivated blueberry with the big blueberry. Brett Winters, where does the nanotech in the sky come from? Brett, when did you just come in? We're talking about it. Oh, maybe you're saying where does it? You know where it comes from up in the sky. You're wondering where it comes from. It's chemicals, right? And byproduct and waste I was talking about from the industries, if that was your question. All right, so on the wild blueberry front, that's key. But I'm going to add the wild blueberry juice after, right? But if you have your wild blueberries, like frozen wild blueberries, you can use that now and dump them in the first. So I'm giving you a chance to do that. The next one would be kale. So 1/4 cup tightly packed kale. So I'm going to drop some kale in here. Nice. It's not a 1/4 cup though. If that was tightly packed, that would definitely be probably a little over a 1/4 cup on that one right there. But yeah, 1/4 lemon peel. Let me get a lemon. I get a lemon right here. First of all, I'm going to peel it back, if you don't mind. I was supposed to probably do that earlier, but so I'm peeling the lemon. You don't have to peel it perfectly, but this is the next thing. By the way, this is the MM1500. It's on sale right now. The MM900's on sale too. You guys know I work with the Meg. It's incredible products. I call them the medicine machine. They save people money because they squeeze more juice out of stuff. And they can handle real juicing. Medical medium community juices like no other community in the world. Like it's unbelievable to the degree. 1/4 lemon going down in there. 1/2 cup tightly packed cilantro, everybody. 1/2 cup tightly packed cilantro. Let's get that in there. Tightly packed, that's going to do it there. That's incredible. All right, quarter cup, tightly packed chives. I got scallions and chives right here. You can use either or. If you have chives, just use chives. But I'm using a combination so I can show you guys in case you guys are, like, maybe someone's freaking out and they're like, I don't have chives, I only have scallions. Getting those in there. 2 raw Brussels sprouts. Now, these Brussels sprouts are so tiny, I had to peel them back. So I'm probably going to put 4 in here because they really equal 4 or 5 of these will equal 2 good-sized ones, right? There we go. This has a high compression, which is incredible. This stuff is coming out dry. That's what you want with the juicer, and the MM1500 does that in 900. 2 raw medium stalks of asparagus. Send you on through. These are little ones, so I'm going to add, I mean, these are really small. These are spears. You can call them spears. I'm going to add those in. Half a stalk of celery is next. We'll use this. This is actually a short one, and it's kind of cut and broken. It's a celery stalk. There we go. That's my shot right there. Amazing. I'm excited. I'm letting it just trickle out a little bit more. And then I'm adding a little bit of blueberry juice in the end of mine because you might have added the wild blueberries, the frozen wild blueberry ones, right? Beforehand. I'm adding a little after. Incredible. I got a little screen here. Let's not knock over the blueberry juice. Amazing. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit of blueberry juice to here too. Just a little bit. That is the Khem Trail exposure shot right there. The music! We didn't do a halftime! What was I thinking? Maybe we could do the robot down. Halftime. This is it. Do you have your shot? Did you do yours already? What's incredible about this, okay, is that no one would know that it's a combination of phytochemical compounds that are grown on this earth. We have medicine. Now think about this. Please think about this one point from Spirit of Compassion. If we have the ability to create chemical warfare, domestic chemical warfare, chemicals from the chemical industry on this planet that destroys life and the environment in which we live in, if we have that ability as human beings to create dangerous concoctions of chemicals, then surely if it comes from this planet, that means the chemicals that are dangerous and lethal and problematic, if they come from this planet, then surely we have something from this planet that can help us. And it's the food that's grown on this planet has mystery powers to help us. Phytochemical compounds, when they're mixed together, just like chemicals, dangerous chemicals in science, have an effect. And so in food, when these phytochemical compounds are actually mingling with each other, they ignite and something occurs. Spirit of Compassion has brought this information here so we can help protect ourselves. So in a specific way, when these ingredients come together, synergistically, the combinations that nobody knows about from above, we have a way to protect ourselves. And this is the medical medium brain shot therapy. This one's hitting me now, like right now. Right when that first sip went down. I think this is my favorite shot of all the shots. C-H-E-M. I'm a cheerleader today. C-H-E-M-T-R-A-I-L-S. Did I spell it right? What did I say? Sea tails? This is incredible, you guys. C-H-E-M-T-R-A-I-L-S. All right, wait a minute. Come on, pull it together. Why does this happen to me after I take the shots every time where something happens? Okay. C. Give me a C. All right. All right. Give me a C. Give me an H. Give me an E. Give me an M. Give me a T. Give me an R. Give me an A. Give me an I. Give me an L. Give me an S. And that's why you guys know this is information that comes from above. Because how the hell can I do 8 incredible voluminous medical books with advanced information when I can't even spell? You guys, the Khem Trales exposure shot, medical medium brain shot therapy. It's my favorite one. My body is receiving it and accepting it. Receiving it and accepting it. Trinity, you're laughing. I see you laughing there. All right, well, that was incredible, you guys. Everything. And we missed out on the robot, but tomorrow we're going to do the robot, okay? Don't worry, tomorrow we're doing it. We can do it tomorrow. It's just, I don't know if we're supposed to do the robot when we're talking about, like, sea trails and oceans dying, right? Check out Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcasts, but here's the thing, you guys. Ready? Check out the podcast episode I was just interviewed on, right? So, the Heal podcast, Kelly Noonan Gores, dear friend of mine, right? Did you listen to her episode with me in it yet? Did you hear the episode? So please check it out. It's the Heal podcast. There's links out there, right? You should find the link. But the Heal podcast, and I just did the episode. She just released it yesterday. Kelly Noonan Gores just released the episode yesterday. She's the Heal documentary genius. And dear friend of mine, she just released it. I posted the links. Please listen to that episode because as normal, per usual, I'm talking shit on there. Because I just can't help myself. Okay? Oh, and make sure you have both books. Amazon US, right? Amazon.com US, and they're discounted. For some reason, Amazon discounts medical medium books, which is actually a godsend in my opinion. It's the one thing I can say about them is the fact that they do that and they make them affordable for people who are in need, which is incredible. Go to the library, get them for free if you don't want to pay the $22 or whatever they are. And you guys, how was your experience with the Brain Shot Therapy Challenge? Can you please post about it? Can you please put some reels out or some stories or post about it if you can? How did you feel? What did you feel when you did the Khem Trales exposure shot? What did you feel? I mean, and you might want to do Khem Trales. You might want to do Khem Trales. Or maybe spell it like K-E-M Trails. Maybe do something like that. K-E-M Trails, right? K-H-E-M. Maybe K-H-E-M. That would probably be better. Please share your stories, your posts, but tag at medical medium and hashtag medical medium so I can see it. You have to do both so I can see it. So I can repost and share and all that other stuff. But how did you feel after this shot? Are you feeling like I'm feeling? Because what happened is this is battling any exposure. It's incredible. I feel good from it. Are you feeling good from this one? Seaweed Hero, good to see you. You're always dropping some good rhymes, some good riddles. You're always Seaweed Hero. You're always dropping some good lyrics, some song lyrics. Man, you're always dropping those too on YouTube in the comment section. I'm always reading those. Seaweed Hero, I always read your rhymes, riddles, and music lyrics all the time when you're commenting on my YouTube channel. This was so good. Give me more. Bartender, give me another. Please. All right, you guys. Wait. Here's the robot song. And for some reason, this Sea Trails exposure shot is giving me power. My robot's insane now. You guys, incredible. About time, Loreno. Melvin Knight. Download your shopping list. Okay, whatever you do. Download your shopping list, okay? medicalmeme.com. Free. You guys, call me crazy, but there's 16 more days of this. I hope I'm still standing afterwards, but I will be because we're doing the brain shot therapy. So I will be standing. 16 more days of this. Okay? 16 more days. Wait, we have a guest. I don't know how. Somebody wants to do the robot with me. But they're getting dressed. Someone said they just got out of the shower and they're getting dressed. They want to do the robot. Dr. Nesbitt's doing the robot. Dr. Nesbitt, I didn't know you can dance. Dr. Nesbitt, that's really not a great dance. Dr. Nesbitt is a board-certified psychiatrist and a board-certified surgeon, and he wants to show his moves. Uh-oh. You were naked underneath, Dr. Nesbitt. Dr. Nesbitt was naked underneath, and I hope that was okay, because I just saw Dr. Nesbitt's chicken skin. All right, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.